when I graduated from high school and went to Upper Iowa, I had just turned 17. My birthday's the last day of February, and we got out of school in May, early May in those days. So I just was pretty young. So when I went to Fayette for school, then I had to, when I turned 18, I had to register for the draft. So I went to West Union and registered for the draft. And I got my letter from the draft board stating that, I was up for my number and all they told you. So I went to them and I said, I'm pretty much through this year. I'd like to finish the year. And so they let me do that. And well, then I was from Tama County. That's my hometown. So I went back up and I said, I'd like to transfer to Tama County. And they allowed me to do that. So then after school was out, I went back to Dysart and waited for my draft call. And I worked odd jobs and everything just to, Well, I got called in, I think July of 44. So I was there a whole year.
Oh, okay.
At the Upper Iowa the whole year. And before I went to service. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we didn't get married till after my, I had basic training, and then I was supposed to go to pilot school, and they had too many of them at that time, so I went to gunnery school instead in Harlingen, Texas. And so when February rolled around, then we got married. I come back. We got married February 4th in 1944. Went to Ardmore, Oklahoma, the two of us, for our OTU, Overseas Training Unit. And I was on B-17s, flying on B-17s. So and we had a good, 5 or 6 months there, I suppose, or 4 months, I can't recall. And so then in May, I was on a 10-man crew. Lieutenant Eldridge was our pilot. We flew to Kearney, Nebraska, and picked up a brand new B-17 and flew it to England through New York and Gander, Newfoundland, and Nuts Corner, Ireland, and up to the Wash. And they took it away from us there, and then we went to our base. Well, and about that time, a lot of them were getting pretty well shot up. And there were 6 enlisted men to 4 officers on that plane. So they were short of enlisted personnel, gunners. So they went to 9-man crew on a B-17. So that meant that one had to leave. So I left. I went to A-20s, which is the twin-engine, low-level dive bomber type, A-20 attack bomber. And so I sat around there for 3 or 4 weeks while they were flying missions to Germany, and wishing I was there, doing it. And of course, because I wasn't doing anything, go to London. That's about all you could do. Well, then I got to A-20s, and I started flying in A-20s. And ended up with 65 of them.
65 missions?
Yep. And one year. Took me a year. Yeah.
And you flew out of which base?
Well, I flew out of 3 bases. With the twin engine, you only have fuel for about 4 hours. So we were in a little town of next to Halstead, 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 England, which was not too far from Coventry and Colchester in that area, and over in the south east part of England. And then after D-Day, they got to the point where we couldn't fly far enough on the gas we had, so that we moved to France. And we moved twice in France. And kept going. The last one was up close to Reims, up near SHAEF headquarters where Eisenhower was and so forth. Yeah. So, but I remember see, my whole crew, my B-17 crew got shot down on the 23rd mission. Or POWs. So I was very fortunate that I got out of it when I did.
Now, were the A-20 missions more dangerous than the B-17s? Or?
They were a lot shorter. We'd fly 2 a day quite often.
Wow.
And in fact, the month of March 1945, I think I flew 35 missions. Because our son, oldest son, Dennis, was born New Year's Eve of 1944 while I was overseas. And I was flying with the major, who's our squadron leader. Well, he didn't fly as often as a lot of the other ones. So then I saw the handwriting on the wall. I was going to be there a long time. So I started volunteering. I say there's only 3 people on an A-20, or 4 if it's the lead ship, or number 2 because you have a bombardier navigator and a pilot and two gunners. So I started volunteering to get them over with, because you had to have 65 to come home. I had my 65, and it wasn't 3 weeks later the damn war was over.
Really?
In Europe. So I would have been, either way, it'd have been okay.